helping people with credit. What is the general overview in the current situation right now when it comes to dealing with people about their credit? What are you seeing out there?
What we are seeing right now is actually a lift of empowerment. People want to learn about their credit more. They want to better their financial stability. They want to come in and say, you know what, I know 4 years ago I did not care about these, but I think right now it's very important for me to really fix whatever's wrong with my credit or get it started. We don't see the abandonment of it. We have seen a progress, a positive progress towards people wanting to better their financial stability through credit.
Through credit. That's excellent. That's excellent. You know, and the great thing about this conversation, both of these guest speakers that I have, they can relate to your story, to my story as immigrant, because they are immigrant themselves.
Yes.
So now what I want to do, I want to paint a picture, B. What is the picture for an African immigrant, a Mexican immigrant that's leaving their home country to come to the United States? You know, what is that state of mind to begin with? Yeah. Because they don't come in with the state of mind, I want to buy a home. When they come in here, the state of mind is, I want to find a job and support the family. So in your community and in your background, could you paint the picture from a Mexican that's leaving Mexico to come to the country, where they are in their state of mind?
Well, I think you're 100% right. I'm coming to work.
Yes.
That's my American dream, right? I'm coming to work, and all my family came over for that reason in itself. And then once they started acclimating to the United States is when home ownership became more, like, that's our dream. And our dream is to own a home and pay it off right away. Yeah. Like, I have it, great, but now I'm going to pay it off. So how do you do that? What are those steps? So I think that it's good to come in with that mentality. Let me get a job, because honestly, you need a job to buy a house. I mean, you have to have that job. You have to have that job stability, but you also have to start thinking, what's the first purchase I want to do? And it should not be a car. It really shouldn't be a car. It should be a home. And how do I get there, and the steps to getting to purchase a home before I do a car? Like, there's this saying, it used to be anywhere in Colorado or anywhere in Denver you can get there in 20 minutes. We now know with the traffic that we have, it's probably about 35 minutes, maybe 40.
Yes. It's not happening.
It's not happening.
It's not happening.
But that's okay. Those are the sacrifices. If we sacrifice leaving our country to come to the United States, then that's a sacrifice you can do as well. Use public transportation, and then go, save the money for down payment, and we'll go into that a little bit later. But what I'm saying is that definitely come in, get the job, and then let's talk about home ownership right after, not the car.
Excellent. So, Lori, I want to come to you now, related to credit now, because I know coming from Africa, we don't have that credit system. When I come here, I don't know anything about credit. So, what is the perspective of somebody that's coming from Mexico, coming to the United States, thinking about credit? Is there some knowledge, education, and usually how are they involved and introduced about credit?
I think there is really no expectation of credit.
Okay.
I think that a lot of our communities from different countries, and not just Mexico, Africa as well, our belief is if you don't have the money to buy it, you simply don't buy it.
Right.
There isn't really such a thing as credit. I'm going to go grab that furniture for my bedroom from this credit card because I'm eventually going to pay it down. How are you going to pay it down? You don't have the money.
Yep.
So they really have not that belief. But when you come to America, you are so mesmerized and so, I can get all these things with just a simple plastic, which is, the credit card, right?
Yes.
And you max it out and you put all these things in it, and then how do I pay it? You have no plan. You have no information. You have absolutely nothing when we're coming from our own country. And so our job at Operation Hope is to educate the community on making sure you are taking the right decisions, making sure that you are not really going to be spending your money on things that are really not a necessity for you. Build a plan.
Yes, and as you heard, we just paint the picture that relate to all of us. Like African immigrant, before you come here, when you come to home ownership, no, we come here, we want to find a job and we want to work. And you just hear it from Lori as a credit expert. We don't have nothing in our background that educate us and prepare us about credit. And you come here, so you start getting this credit card offer in the mail, and you have a tendency to leave this American dream that you've been seeing on TV, And now what happened? We get in trouble.
Yes.
We get in trouble.
We get in trouble.
Yeah.
We get in trouble, and I'm gonna come back to you, B, now. With that, we find ourselves in this revolving door of renting.
Yes.
Okay. Now, could you paint clearly the benefit of owning a home versus renting? I know you touched a little bit on it, but let's dive deep into it, because
Okay.
when we find ourselves now, here I am, I'm renting, and there's a lot of things you have to move, and there's a lot of things. Could you
Yeah.
paint the situation from renting to owning?
So, renting. We all have to do it, right? I need somewhere to live. I'm gonna rent, because for me, I can go into an apartment plex, fill out an application, show them my income. They're not qualifying me on my income for that apartment. They're just verifying that I'm working, right? I have to put a down payment. Generally, it's first and last month. I mean, in Denver, I think a single family, or not a single family, a one bedroom apartment is probably winning you, $1,200 a month. Is that about
right?
fair?
Mhm.
So if you're looking at saying that you're gonna put first and last month deposits down, that's $2,400 just to move into an apartment. Well, you can use that same money to put as a down payment towards a home. And so the advantages of having your home is just what you keep on saying, and I love that, generational wealth. You're
Mhm.
building that wealth for yourself. When you're renting, you're building it for somebody
Yes,
else.
yes.
And you'll never, ever, ever benefit from having rented that apartment. You'll never say, oh, I paid $1,200 a month for the last 10 months. That's $2,400 or $24,000. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
24,000. So you can't imagine. I mean, that math was completely wrong. It was 10,200.
Yes.
But anyways, the point is that when you're renting, even though we have to rent, it's a place to start. It's okay to start there. But you want to make that a short-term goal, and your long-term goal should be purchasing, because that home is yours. You get to stay there, make your monthly payments, which are generally just about as much as your rent is. When you're buying, I know you hear a lot. I think the scare is that, well, all homes are 400,000 or 650,000. I think Denver Metro has now a new high at over 600,000
Mhm.
for purchase price. But guess what, guys? Colorado is a big state,
Yes.
and we have lots of cities. We have Aurora that is still affordable. We have Adams County. We have Jefferson County. There's so many other places. When you work with we'll talk about that in a minute. But I think that when you're looking at purchasing, you need to look at what I'm going to build for myself. Am I going to use this $2,400 to have a part-time apartment that's not really mine, or am I going to use that $2,400 to go and put as a down payment towards my home, in my children's
Yes.
home?
Yes.
So that's what I would say.
Great point, great point. And again, if you're joining us now, you are with the African Leadership Group Weekly Update, and we're talking about the value of owning a home and building generational wealth. And the word what B just shared with us is have a plan. Even if you are renting, have a plan. How long you're going to be renting for. And you just hear her talk about when you're renting, every year you have to renew your lease.
Mhm.
And every year you renew your lease is not going down. I've never seen anybody renew a
Anyone.
lease that it went down. It always goes up. But you find yourself having to move from places to places. And not to talk about when you have kids, that involvement in school and things like that. So we'll come back to that later. But Lori, I want to come to you now, and I want you to talk about how much does it cost having a bad credit versus having a good credit. Because I think people don't get to realize that when you don't have a good credit, it costs you a lot of money. Could you talk about it in terms of, if you don't have a good credit, interest rate, having to put down payment. So could you touch on those a little bit, please?
Yeah, so when you have good credit, I like to start with the good parts, right? when you have good credit, you are able to, negotiate the interest rate that you will be charged for the loan that you will be having.
Yes.
Negotiate the down payment that you need to put up front. You are able to select what location you want your home to be in most places. Perhaps even have a brand new build instead of having a home that it was already owned by maybe 3 other families. That is the plus of credit. You will eventually, at the end of everything, save money. Bad credit, roadblocks, lots of them. You are going to need to put a lot of hard work And it's not, I woke up today, I need to fix my credit, and it's done next month. No, it takes months to fix your credit, months to fix your credit. And so with that, I feel like a lot of people, instead of moving forward, they're moving back when you have bad credit. Because you're not just spending money that you could have saved or used for the down payment for your purchase, you're also spending time that is being taken out of your work life or out of your social life to have to deal with these things that you, in a period of time, got that result, right? Because we made mistakes over mistakes over mistakes, and the end result of that was having bad credit.
Yeah, it's when we talk about equality, equity, all the things we're talking about in this country right now, I can tell you the vast majority has to do with credit.
Yes.
Because I'm just going to give you a quick example. We know when you go to the bank, people with good credit have, if they're buying a car, some of them have interest rate as low as 2%.
Yeah, 0%.
Or 0% sometimes with the car loan. Now, for those of us that do not have a good credit, you're looking at 22, 25%. Meaning on a car loan where you could pay $150 to $200 a month, you're looking at paying $600, $400, $800 a month.
Yes.
Yeah.
The money that you could save to build generational wealth, guess what? You're giving it to the bank.
Yes.
So, it's very important to understand this concept and know I would rather spend time building my credit for a year than spending the rest of my life spending thousands and thousands of dollars in some cases more than $100,000 in interest. So it's just something that to think about. And now we have the expert here, and we'll be back on November 4th if you really want to move forward to really implement this. So I'm going to come to you now when it comes to home ownership, and knowing that there's different type of loan that exists out there. Some will cost less, some will cost more.
Yes.
Could you paint the pictures on different type of mortgage loan that exists out there, and what recommendation and advice do you have for community members that are looking to buy a home?
Okay, so good questions. So, and I'm just going to touch on credit just a little bit.
Please do.
Personally. So, culturally, we never spoke about credit.
Yes.
I didn't even know what it was, to be quite frank with you. I always say the story that my mother immigrated from Mexico to the United States, and for as long as I can remember, we always owned our own home, okay? But when we left home, we all rented our own home because we didn't talk about home ownership. We didn't talk about credit. We didn't know the importance of, don't get that credit card even though you get 1 million offers a day in the mail. Don't qualify for it. Don't go for it. Wait, just limit yourself to 3 at max, So I guess just to touch on that is be careful when you see those offers coming in, and take your time and talk. This is where we're at right now in this part of the conversation is getting with somebody who you are comfortable with. We started working together, Papa, because we're comfortable with one another. Our passion's the same. We know that we want to get as many immigrants, wherever you immigrated from, and anybody actually into a home. That was our commonality that we had for this organization. But we started off with building a relationship of trust and honesty. So when you're looking to buy a home, you need to do the same thing. Because you could have met me, you could have met 3 other people, and I may not be your cup of tea, which probably won't be the case, however. But I may not be, right?
Yes.
You have a couple other options. So don't ever settle with the first person. Maybe that first person is who you go back to, but talk to them, interview them. We work for you. That's the magic of being here. When you think about the credit or you think about home ownership, the banks, we all work for you. You may be paying us, but we still work for you. So you want to make sure you build those relationships up front with your mortgage banker, with your lending institution, with your credit specialist, with your realtor. All of those, we all work for you. So I feel like if you, in the process of home ownership, you want to have that relationship up front. So that way you can ask them whatever question. I would say there's no such thing as a dumb question. The dumb question is not asked. Because you walked out not knowing. And you should never walk out of an appointment or a meeting with your banker saying, oh man, I don't know what that meant. Take the time. We're here. That's what we do. That's why we do what we do. most of us are in these roles because we have a passion to get people into homes. And so if you can build on that relationship, then you'll get your home sooner than you think you would.
Yes. Now, knowing that there's the FHA loan, there's
Yes.
conventional, could you touch a little bit on it for our viewers?
Yes.
I mean, and
Yeah.
what does it take?
Well, let me get to that part of my
Yes.
checklist. So there's different types of mortgage programs, and a lot of them, you'll hear FHA,
Yep.
you'll hear conventional,
Mhm.
you'll hear home ready, you'll hear VA. Let's see, what else do we have? Jumbo, portfolio. There's so many terminology out there, all of which are good loans. But I go back to the relationship because your banker will know which one to put you in.
Yep.
They'll know a conventional loan where you only have to put 3% down. Okay, and when I don't want to talk too much because you'll get a lot of information
Yes,
on
sure,
November
sure.
4th.
Yep.
Okay, so and I don't want to confuse anybody, but for instance, if I go with a conventional loan, a home ready program per se, that only requires 3% of your own funds down. Okay, but you can also get those funds by a down payment assistance program. So this is why I said I don't want to say too
Sure,
much.
sure.
But what that means is that there's funds out there that will help you, Papa, get a home that is funds from another organization that will actually give you that money to put down towards your down payment. Because let's say you don't have that money right now. It's okay. You don't know what you don't know. The mortgage banker will evaluate your situation and say, okay, how much do you have in savings? Okay, you have $1,500, but your down payment is $6,000. Let's find some different down payment assistance programs to get you into that. Yeah, that'll help you get those funds so you have now that down payment. Because then you're talking about, it can get a little confusing and overwhelming when you're purchasing a home. Because you have down payment, you have closing costs, you have prepaids. I mean, what does that all mean, right?
Yes.
And so when you're working with a specialist, a mortgage banker, that'll tell you this is what down payment is. This is what, your principal and interest, taxes, and insurance payment, what that means. This homeowner's insurance, this is what that means. Then you can breathe easy and say, okay, I'm now informed this, so I can make these payments comfortably. And that's another thing. Just because you qualify for a higher amount doesn't necessarily mean that you should get that. You should definitely live within your means, live comfortable. There's the saying not to be house rich or house poor, I should say, because you're buying a house that's, let's say I qualify for $600,000, but I'm at my max. Another terminology, debt to income. I'm at my max at 50%, which basically means my gross income, 50% of that is going to my house payment. Okay, so think about that. 50% of that is going to my house payment. That means I only have that's before taxes. That means the other taxed income is what I have to live on. And I have a family. Yeah, I have a huge family, so I need to make sure that I have food on the table and, gas in the car, and my kids have clothes. I mean, there's other things. But I think where you get excited and where I get excited, that's the scary part of loans, I think, that part. I always tell realtors, I'm like, we get to, get the clients when they're a little nervous and they don't, they come in like, there's a headlight, like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? But they leave there going to a realtor, breathing easy and saying, wow, I get to look at these homes and make this not a home, but my house, a place that I live in.
And call it home. So, which is great point. So, Lloyd, I'm going to come to you, and I know with your work you hear it many times where people tell you, oh, my credit is so bad, I don't want to look at it. People just are scared to look at it. So, what message do you have for people that find themselves in that situation and either hope to get out of it, and how?
Communication is key.
Okay.
I think the fact that you take the step to really reach out to us at Operation Hope and say, I know my credit is bad or not good, I need work, key, fundamental. You already made your first step in your first move. You don't know what your credit is until you actually see your credit report. That's why it's important for people to review their credit report. I've had numerous amounts of clients who say, my credit is really bad, when I was young I made some mistakes. Well, that was 10 years ago, and you are still living in the past. Have you pulled your credit report? No. Do you know what it is? No, but I know it's bad. How do you know it's bad if you have not pulled your credit report? So let's do that. Let's, get out of that comfort shell, pull up your credit report, help me review it with you. I can explain to you the ins and outs of it, how it works. The things that are on it that are bad, we can work on them. The things that are on it that are good, we are going to work on them to improve them, and therefore improve your credit score and your ability to purchase your home or whatever other goal you have in mind.
So in another word, there is no situation that could be so bad that you would not be able to work on with time to improve.
No. The only that know that is a process. It is not something that is going to change overnight. And I know people give up, and I don't want you to give up, because it is going to take time. That's it.
Now, this is great, and some of these things I can talk about it because I spent many years in banking, so I understand. So what Lori just shared with us is you could be out there and maybe having some medical bills for many years, ranging in thousands and thousands of dollars, and you might give up sitting there. It should not and wouldn't stop you from buying a home as long as you are working on it. You could have filed bankruptcy. You could have, in whatever shape that you are in, thinking it's horrible. But Lori is telling us, with time and a process, we can make things better, that we can get you into a home.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And there's another area to that. You don't know what you don't know. So you need to reach out to somebody that can lead you in the right directions. I know, as I speak to you today, of a mortgage banker at my bank that got somebody into a home with a 580 credit score. So there's a scale, and 580 credit score is probably
it's in the bad range. I hate to use that word. I hate to use the word bad.
Yeah.
You know, I am a very strong believer that we all have a credit report, right? We all do.
We all do.
There are some who have bumps in that credit report, or blemishes, if you want to call it that way. But those things can be fixed. Those things can be ironed out. You can work on it. You can fix it.
What is a good score?
720. No, I'm sorry. 680
680.
to 720 is considered good.
Okay.
Above 720 is considered excellent. Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to turn to you. What is a score that could get people into a home?
Wow. I sort of said it, right? There's compensating factors, though. To that 580, there was compensating factors. Hence why I keep on going back, and it probably sound like a broken record about the relationship, because it took that customer talking to that mortgage banker and say, this is my situation, and can you work with that situation? And fortunately, we were able to help them, and they got into their home. So I say, if you don't know, ask. Go in today, ask. Can I qualify for a home? Pick up the phone, call Operation Home, call Bank of the West, or whoever you're banking with, and say, hey, do I qualify right now for a home? That's what they do. Mortgage bankers live for that. They come in, they meet with you. Yeah, I'm not going to go there. I was going to go away, but I was like, no, we'll talk on November 4th about that.
Yes, yes. So now, this is what I want to share with you as community members. And living in Colorado after 22 years, and I know some of the challenges and issues that community members talk about is, I don't know about the market. I can buy a home today and the market will go down. But I will tell you, it will take a lot more for a market to go down than will take for a market to go up. So, and we know, after being in Colorado for many years, housing market is not going down. And maybe next time we should have a real estate broker that can educate us. So what message do you have for community members that are watching us that say, oh, I will get to it next year?
I hear that all the time,
Okay.
even from my family members.
Okay.
I just went to Chicago over, the summer to go visit my mother, and I had a cousin. We had a barbecue, and they were talking about the house next door being for sale. And I'm like, okay, so why aren't you buying it? And they're like, oh, maybe next year. So here's magic sauce. You want to hear it? Right now is a good time to buy. Next year will be a good time to buy as well, but right now is the time to buy, because you are not paying your mortgage. You are paying somebody else's. That apartment isn't yours, it's somebody else's. Why not invest in yourself today and get yourself your home today? And if you don't qualify, that's okay. We'll put you on a pathway to get you qualified. It doesn't have to be, but you don't know what you don't know. And I tell my kids all the time, a quiet mouth don't get fed.
Yep.
So if you don't tell me, I don't know. So let me educate you and get you into a home today, because today is a good time to purchase.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to know that, going through the home ownership process it could take time. It could be long. You're thinking, you know what, I don't want to start it until next year. Start today and then get into your home next year. You're not even paying right now your mortgage. You're just starting the process.
Yes.
And then next year come, you will either be maybe 2 months into moving into your home, or you might end up starting the year moving into your home. So start the process now. That's it.
So what do you have for people that will say, oh, let me this debt, it will go away. It will eventually go. So what message do you have for them? And once you own a debt, and how often does it get reported on your credit to help?
Questions.
could dig it
Yeah.
down or whatever the case might be.
So, and we're talking about items that are bad on your
Yes,
credit,
yes.
right? Okay, so they're not going to
Okay.
What's going to happen is that collection company or that creditor is eventually going to get some type of court order, but they're going to be able to garnish your wages, garnish your bank account. They're going to be able to garnish your taxes. When you're filing taxes at the end of the year, you're going to have to pay it because you borrowed that money. And that came with you being responsible to pay that when you borrowed it, right? So I will tell you, one is not going away. Two, you need to start putting some work into fixing those items. You need to start either negotiating with those collection companies or creditors. As a matter of fact, right now they are being very lenient with people who want to, make some type of negotiation, reducing the debt or reducing the amount that they already owe. So right now it's a really good time to do it. But you're gonna eventually have to work on it. Yes, the statute of limitations in Colorado is 7 years, but they have 7 years to resell that debt to another collection agency. They have 7 years to go to the court. They have 7 years to go to the judge. And the judge, if you are not responsive because you move from one apartment to the other, because you are renting, right?
Yeah.
You moved from one apartment to the other. You never got the notification. So the judge is gonna go against you and in their favor because you were not involved in that decision.
And as you already said, with the pandemic, it's a good time. And as you hear her said also, this debt won't go away. So pick up the phone and call or come to the African Leadership Group office. Come to the Home Ownership Committee that B is chairing and just tell us, I need help.
Yes.
It doesn't matter in whatever bad shape you are, we'll be alongside you and help you, because the reality is, wherever you are right now,
Yep.
some of us are there with you,
Absolutely.
or we have been there with, we have been
Absolutely.
there. So we want to help. Now I want to transition to be at the chair of the Home Ownership Committee. Talk to us about that committee. Who is involved in the committee, and what do you have coming up on November 4th, and what should the community expect when they walk in?
Yeah, so I am honored to be part of the chair, so thanks for appointing me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And this committee, I think, it's my heart and passion. Like, I breathe for this committee. And the reason why is that Papa and I have always talked years ago when we met, we sat down and we were talking about sponsoring, the bank sponsoring the ALG. My main objective was always home ownership. And how do we get the information out to your community? And it sounded simple enough at the time, which is, you told me, just show up. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Yep.
So I showed up and I started realizing the need is there, right? Because similar to the African community, the Latino community also has obstacles with credit and obstacles with acclimating to the United States. And so I could empathize and sympathize with the community. And so when we sat down and said, well, what do we need? What steps should we take? I think I bugged you a lot, right? We need to do this. We need to do this. So we tried a couple things. We tried a panel, which was very successful. We had over 100 attendees live.
Yep.
So this is pre-COVID. And then we decided, we did a Zoom event after COVID. And then now that, unfortunately our cases are going up, so everybody use your masks. Please use your masks. Wash your hands. It sounds simple enough, but we need to do that. It's real. COVID is real. But we are going to do a COVID safe workshop. We thought, what better way to do it other in a safe place where you can feel comfortable enough to come in, take that sigh of relief, and start those steps forward. The committee is built with really great experts. We have 2 amazing credit specialists. We have 2 amazing realtors. We have an amazing lender. And then we'll be adding on as the need is getting greater. We'll add on to that. So if you're interested, reach out to us. On November 4th will be our first workshop. So I believe it's from 5 to 7. I want to say, from 5 to 7 p.m. And you'll come in. You'll check in with us. We'll do COVID safe, so you have to wear a mask to come in. And we'll check your temperature. We'll make sure everything's on the up and up. And then we'll direct you to the assigned expert. From there, you'll probably have to, because it's a workshop, so you'll probably have to set another appointment with those experts, which they're eager to do. And then we'll start you on your pathway to home ownership and build that generational wealth. And I feel like this committee is just the beginning. It's going to grow into something so amazing that at the African Impact, we will be there to support and be there and understand what great. The challenge is up. A year from today, I want to see how many African community members that we got into homes.
Yeah.
Like, are you up for the challenge?
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes,
Awesome.
I am. Yes, I am. So, and Lori, now, people coming in, I think November 4th, there will be a lot of people coming in because of want to have a conversation about their credit. What should they bring with them coming to see you? What information do you want them to bring along?
It would be ideal if they are able to bring a copy of their credit report through the 3 credit bureaus. They can get that by going to each one of their respective websites or through annualcreditreport.com. Right now, the 3 credit bureaus are offering it for free, so the person who pulls it doesn't have to pay for it, which is rare because they normally only do that once a year. But this time they don't have to do that, and then we are able to analyze it with them to see what that credit report is reflecting, and then we can schedule an appointment to sit in a one-on-one setting and be able to create a work plan to help them start increasing their credit score or getting it started or dispute items that are inaccurate on their credit report.
Great. And and we did not even get a chance to talk more in depth about the tax benefit of owning your home and a lot of things. But for me, this is what I will say: if there's a lot of things we can address when we own a home, when we talk about this gap, that inequality, all these things. But when we start owning a home, we are addressing it to a certain extent, and that's going to be your biggest investment. You purchase a home for $200,000 today. 2 years down the road, there's a chance that you might add $50,000 to $100,000 value. And whenever you are ready to go back home, or whenever you are ready for whatever, guess what? You sell that house and you can pocket that money and use it for whatever. So I think, to B's point and Laurie's point, before you buy a car, think about owning a home.
Yes.
Before you get into that renting every year, have a plan to buy a home. But before I come to you and ask you for your last comment, we have the upcoming election that are coming, and I think there's a lot of things that are in the ballot for the upcoming election. So what message do you have for our viewers that's watching when it comes to the upcoming election?
Vote. I can't emphasize that enough. If you think it doesn't matter, it does. Every vote counts. We need to make a change. We need our voices heard. We need to make sure that the politicians know where we stand as a community, and we stand united. So we need to make sure and educate yourself too. I know that you put on lots of events too. When you look at the ballot, it's pretty overwhelming. It's probably about this long right now.
Yes.
And we've had the luxury in Colorado to be mail-in ballots for quite some time now. So if you've gotten it ready, fill it out, put it in, pick up the phone, and ask questions. What are these amendments about? It's your belief. Nobody can tell you how to vote. Nobody should tell you how to vote. You vote on what's best for you, and then you have to also vote a little bit on what's best for our community. So take a look around you. Does this make sense for all of us? Can this better ourselves, right? It's bettering me, but does it also better you, Papa, you, Laura? You know what I mean? Does this make us better? Just vote, though. Please vote. Go out there. Make it known that we're here to stay, and, our voices are going to count this time.
Excellent. How about you, Laurie?
For me, I will say communication. If there is something that you have a doubt, ask it out. There isn't nothing more blinding to me than casting your vote, better put it that way, than casting your vote out of something you saw on TV or something you heard or something out of a reaction, a one-time reaction, impact, sadness, anger, or whatever it may be. Find your facts, find your information, and then cast your vote. That's what I would say.
Well said. And as you know, at the African Leadership Group, an organization, we are not Republican, we are not Democrat. We are for the best interest of the community.
Absolutely.
And now, this is my personal opinion. This is Papa speaking. If you vote, I will highly recommend for you to vote for what's best for the community. Don't cast your vote because of a party. Just look out for what's best for the community. And ALG is looking to play its role. And next Monday, we're going to have Representative Paul Lundin that's going to be joining us. And we're just going to have a conversation about the ballot because there's a lot of things that's in it and people need explanation. So we're going to have him next week. He's going to be joining us, and we're going to go over each ballot to make sure the community clearly understand what it means and how it relates to them. But please go vote. And if you haven't registered, I think the deadline is the 26th or something.
Yeah.
Please register to vote. And you can do mail your ballot or you can walk in. but the election November 3rd, and we'll be back here on the 4th with the homeownership. And good luck to both candidates. Good luck to everybody that's out there campaigning and running for an elected official. We wish you for the best, but we're also looking out for the best interest of the community overall. So, B, we got to the end of our show. So your last word and thing that you have for the community.
So I'd love to see everybody here November 4th. That's what I'm going to start off with. And just so everybody knows, I guess I didn't mention this, is that we're going to make this a monthly occurrence.
Yes, the homeownership workshop, yes. She's putting me on the spot and make sure she got this on record.
It's on record. We will do this because we understand everybody's times, is valuable. So if you can't make it on November 4th, join us December, whatever that first Wednesday. So it'll be the first Wednesday of every month. Come January, we're going to do a big forum that hopefully COVID allowing, obviously, where we're going to take you through the steps of homeownership, from credit to lending to insurance to title.
Yes.
I mean, we're really going to go in depth in January. That'll be a big event. And then from there on, every month, or the first Wednesday of every month, we will be putting these workshops on, so that way you can come and ask your questions and get yourself set up so you can buy a home. Short term, set a plan. You're renting today, that's okay, rent. But start thinking today about how I'm going to build that generational wealth with the purchase of a home, not with a vehicle. And I go back to that because I feel like that's where we want to go. We want a car. We've got the buy here, pay here, where I only have to put down a little bit. Taxes are right around the corner, so we're going to be getting those tax returns back. Mm-hmm. So we're going to use, rather than to use that money on buying a car, let's use it to buy a home. And I am up for that challenge. I do want to get as many Africans in the community into a home as possible. So next year, this time, on October 19th, we'll look back and we'll count down how many people we got into homes. So yeah, and I look forward to seeing everybody again.
Thank you so much, Lee. Laurie, how about you?
Me, our first step. That's it. Very simple. Yep. See you November 4th.
Yes, see you November 4th. And this is what I will add with. Honestly, I think this was a very valuable conversation to have when we talk about home ownership. If you've been around the African Leadership Group, there's one word that you hear that we use all the time: impact. It's always about having an impact. So wherever you are, where you're sitting, even if you find yourself set, you already own a home, great, we're very happy. But look around and see who else is around you that is not in the position that you are, so you can have that impact in their life by educating them. If we change, or if we get one member of the community in a house at a time, by the time next year we'll be building that generational wealth we're talking about in our community. We have our children that are getting ready to go to college. We are getting to the point, some of us are thinking about starting a business. And also some of us already own a home, but it might be on an FHA where you are paying mortgage insurance. You should not. Right. So look into refinancing and doing. There's so many things, but when you come to the November 4th workshop, you will get educated. But look at where you are. Even if you own a home, how is the payment working out for you? Are you struggling to make the payment? Are you comfortable to make the payment? There's a lot of things we can do, and we can educate and have that conversation. It was truly an honor, a pleasure to have this beautiful soul with me on this Monday to be here. Look forward to have you on November 4th, but most important, seeing you also next week to talk about the ballot and the upcoming election. We want to give a shout out to Amadou Dieng, our producer, and Professor Madiama, our technician over there helping us. Thank you. Until next time, make it a great week. Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
You guys were on point.
You were on point.
Yay.
So I tell people that I'm not a journalist.